Hi, Crazy Eights. How you doing? Miss McMillan here. I just want to do you a quick little video just to follow up on the Outsiders work that we still need to finish up. I put that on pause during distance learning just because I wanted to give you some uninterrupted time to work on your independent novels, which are coming in fast and furious. So I think that was the right decision. Because a lot of you had some, the grade eights have the most number of teachers to stay in touch with, and they had the most sort of new learning to do about teams, I think. So I think it was good just to give you that, step away from the rest of it, just to concentrate on other things. And so now it's time to come back and finish up the Outsiders stuff. A couple of you were squawking online about you thought we were done with the Outsiders. And so those two students probably didn't use the class time very well to get these done, because the majority of you have at least the sentences done because there was time given in class to work on them. For the short answers, I'll talk about the short answers first. The number one is to the indirect characterization of pony. For instance, one example I can think of that I don't think anybody's mentioned in conversation or in class discussion is that when they're walking the girls home after the drive-in and the boys come, Bob and his cronies come, Ponyboy breaks a bottle to use as a weapon against them if things go sideways. And when they leave, he actually picks up the broken glass before he goes on, which shows that he's conscientious, that he cleans up his messes, right? When he does something wrong, he tries to fix it, right? He's not careless. He worries about other people. He doesn't want anybody to get hurt by this broken glass or a tire get busted. The settings that are strongly attached to specific characters. A lot of you did some work around this with your posters. Feel free to go to your posters content. Or maybe there's another character that you didn't do for your poster that you want to discuss. Johnny, for instance, there's many settings you could attach to him. Just make sure you're working with your PED format, point, example, discuss, and you will be golden. Third discussion question was, what are some of the most external or internal conflicts thus far? There's billions, right? Pick one. The most significant, I'm not going to guide you. I don't think you need me to guide you that way. But you can talk about large-scale conflicts, or you can talk about a certain character. Again, your poster work will help you with this. And for the literary terms, what I'll do is I'm going to attach this handout again to you just to make sure that everybody has their Outsiders handout. But the lit terms were imagery. Pretty straightforward what imagery is. It's when an author brings pictures to your mind, right? Foreshadowing, when the author gives a hint about conflict that's about to happen or going to happen in future. Almost every chapter in The Outsiders ends with some foreshadowing. Symbolism, pretty clear on what the symbols are. We developed a long list on the board about those. Foil character, some of you had questions about foil characters. Foil characters are ones that contrast each other. So for instance, Dally and Johnny are very opposite. Bob and Ponyboy are very opposite. Dally and Pony are very very foil to each other, very different. The foil characters don't necessarily have to be protagonist antagonist, right? They can be just both protagonists, but just very opposites, almost like black versus white, right? When you see these two opposite characters, their qualities are even more noticeable, right? Because they're put up against an opposite. Situational irony. Situational irony, we talked about in class. It's the opposite of what you would expect to happen. So I think the example I gave, or we gave one of the examples, you guys came up with some great ones. An example would be, you would never expect an Olympic swimmer to drown, right? You would expect them to be able to not drown. Antagonist. And you've got your literary terms handout for these too. A lot of them, as you know, are on that handout, that original literary terms handout that you got first day of class. Antagonist is whatever opposes the protagonist or the hero from achieving his or her goals. Antagonist does not need to be human, right? Direct characterization and indirect characterization, when we are directly told, there is a great deal of direct characterization given in the first few chapters when the author describes the appearance of the greasers in great detail. That's direct characterization. Indirect characterization we've already talked about. Point of view. In this case, it's, I'm not going to talk about that one too much because there's really only so much you can say about that. So I'm going to leave that one to you. Point of view is whose eyes the stories are told from. The majority of novels, as you've learned from your independent novels, the majority of novels are told through what's called an omniscient, not a term you need to know in grade 8, omniscient or limited omniscient, which means that an all-seeing narrator, like a godlike figure who's looking down and can see into the minds and hearts of everybody. Limited omniscient would be when they can only see into some people's minds, not everybody's. What's the other one? Point of view, mood. We know what mood is. Emotional words that are attached to setting. It's part of setting. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. And indirect characterization we've already talked about. So there it is. Just some more coaching about those outsiders. Literary term sentences and the 3 short answers. And as I said, really shouldn't take you that long to do. I will be marking them, certainly the short answer questions. I'll be marking them on a PED format. So point, example, discuss, discuss. If there's a component missing from that or they're a little too short, a mark will be deducted. And for your sentences, just keep practicing using some $10 words, writing complex sentences, using your semicolons. Remember, semicolons must come, and your fanboys, semicolons must come between 2 complete sentences. Complete sentence, in the middle, semicolon, and or fanboy. I looked like I was going to punch myself in the head there. And then, so I think we can probably finish these up pretty quickly. Your priority, if you haven't done the independent novel study, should absolutely be that. After that, finish up the outsiders. Most people, like I said, I'm going to get the majority of these bing, 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 bing in because people have had them done for a long time. And I want to honor that work. I mean, why wouldn't I honor that work, right? You've done it. So if you could give me these outsiders sentences and short answer questions by, today is the 21st, how about a week from now? Most of you won't have a problem with that because you've done your independent novel and you've got, you've got some, you need some English work to work on. So just, most of you will just be polishing them up. So if you could send them to me by next Tuesday, which is what's the date there? Today's the 21st plus 7, that's April 28th, if I'm not mistaken, 7 more days. And it is the 21st today, right? And then we're going to, just to give you the heads up, it was in my communications plan, but we're going to do something with the Hunger Games. And I'm just putting that all together for you now in a handout. And yeah, okay. So these teaching videos will be how we're doing things from now on. We're not going to have any more live meetings. But we will, I will set up discussion channels for you to talk about things so that you can meet up online. Just keep it to school, right? If it's chit chat, you guys have your social media for that, right? You don't need to use Teams to be social with each other. Okay, so that ends my little video. It's gone a bit long. Sorry about that. What can you do? Hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good week. And I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye.